Hey girls, welcome back to Tea Time. We're so excited that you're with us today. And I have been looking forward to my special guest and so excited that she actually had the time in her busy life to even come on Tea Time with me. But this is April Jones. And if you haven't met April when she's visited our church, you probably know her through her two sons, Corbin and Brannon Jones, everyone's two favorite guys at Wave LA. Welcome, April. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Rachel. This is fun. I'm happy to do it. I love you. I love your family. You love my family. What's to think about? But yes.
Basically our family, because Israel and I have adopted your family as ours.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Choice. Okay, so we're gonna have tea time together.
Okay.
And today I'm drinking just regular English breakfast because I needed some black coffee with some caffeine in it. What are you drinking?
I am drinking my favorite, which is a cinnamon stick tea. So I have cinnamon stick with milk and honey in my favorite mug, which normally I have to, because I do a lot of webinars for work, I put it away and I have my Jones Law Firm mug. And so it's so nice to just be like, yeah, this is my baby. And it's not a distraction because that's what we're talking about.
I love that mug. You're going to have to get a new one this year though, because I don't see that baby Theo anywhere.
I know.
Maybe you should just get one with just a huge Theo face because he's just so beautiful.
Yeah, that would be good. I do have on my lolly necklace. I don't know if you can see it, but that say lolly. So
I love that baby so much. I know that's not what this tea time is about, but he is beautiful.
He is. He didn't even have to be. He just is.
And what about seeing your son being a son? How's that for you?
That is really interesting, seeing my son be a son. It's very cute. You know what? What's really funny, and I don't think I feel this way anymore. Theo is 6 months old, but like when Theo was crying, Corbin, he was our first. He wouldn't change. He wouldn't wear. He didn't want to not wear diapers. He didn't want to be potty trained. So he was 3 saying, "Don't change me," and he didn't want to take a bottle. He didn't want to do all sorts of things. And so when Theo wouldn't. And I would just be thinking, oh, you should talk. And I'm like, April, that is so immature. But that was my real reaction when Theo wouldn't cooperate with Corbin. I'm like, oh, no, now you see. So I think I've moved past that now, that I'm not just associating Corbin baby with Theo baby. And so it is really wonderful to see him be such an amazing dad.
Yeah, he really is. And it's been cute because I feel like the dads always start falling in love with the babies a little bit later than when they're just staring at it as a newborn. Right. And it's so cute lately to see Corbin with baby Theo and how they're falling in love.
No, who's making out in the pandemic is Theo. Because instead of Corbin being on tour or gigging or out at night, he's music is shut down. So he's at home. He's at home in the house. So you see Theo, because we FaceTime, and he seems at his happiest. Either Corbin's holding him and he's grabbing Sonny's hair, because I screenshot everything. So I have these pictures of him grabbing Sonny's hair, or Sonny holding him and him touching Corbin's face. Like, he's just like, these are my people. This is the best thing ever. So the pandemic has been great for Theo, and great for Theo and Corbin, and great for Sonny, because Sonny loves having Corbin home. Corbin loves, they're just so cute, even though that's not what this is about. So
I love it.
Only 1/3 about that. So
it is actually about that, because I really want to talk to you today about the kind of mom that you've been. And you are one of my heroes. Israel and I talk about you and your husband, just the whole entire Jones family. We are so amazed by you guys, and we don't put you on a pedestal where we want you guys all to be perfect, but as a Christian family, you guys are amazing role models and examples of the grace of God, of course, but also you guys have been very intentional with your kids, and it shows. And April is an amazing, in her own right, she's just an amazing woman. She's wise, she's a lawyer, she just runs life around there, and she shows what a great woman is. But I love your aspect of motherhood. I love that you have become this amazing, fulfilled, strong woman, but you also have not pushed away the fact that you were also a really great mom that was involved. And I love that you balanced those things so well. And believe me, I'm always asking Brandon and Corbin questions like, what did your mom do about this? Well, what would your mom think about this situation going on in society? What would your mom, I'm asking, what would
Do they
your
have
mom,
answers?
oh, that's why I'm interviewing you, because their answers blow me away.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, even I've asked them stuff about race relations, like, well, what would your mom say about that? What would she speak to you guys? What would she teach you? And the things they say, it's like, we need you to be speaking on TV. We need you writing books. People need to learn from you guys, because you've raised men who know who they are. They know who their identity is, but they're not bitter. They're not trying to push something. They just know who they are, and they lead by living that way. And I love it.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love them.
They're amazing. We love them too. We're so thankful they're in.
We love you guys. Okay, we can't just keep talking about,
I know.
They love you. We love, everybody loves everybody.
It's a love.
Everybody does love everybody, so it's great.
Yeah. So today, since we don't have much time, I really do want to get down to the brass tacks of one important question I have for you. And that is, you know, Corbin Jones is a man of God. He is a great husband, but he also is a very successful musician. He's humble. He's this mixture of smart, loves Jesus, humble, but extremely gifted and successful. And then you have Brandon Jones, who is, we always laugh at him, he's a male fitness model on the side because he's a rocket scientist in real life. And he's one of our church's worship leaders. And he's an amazing guy. Corbin and Brandon Jones are the two kindest people in our church. If somebody came up to me,
oh my God,
came up to Israel and I and said something that they did that was mean-hearted, we would not believe them, because the nature of those two guys is they are successful young men, but they're also humble, kind, and very serious about their relationship with God. And so I wanted to interview their mama, because they've been raised well. They've been raised right. And us girls, us moms that have, you know, kids that are preteens and teens, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your wisdom. So my question for you today, after all of that, is I want to know 3 things that you purposely did while you were raising your children that that you would think that would be important for us women to hear. What did you do? 3 different things that you maybe did. They can be from any area of life, but that you did with your kids that helped them become who they are. And I just want to say this too, Ellery is just as amazing as your 2 sons. And because she doesn't go to the church, I didn't talk to her, but just in case she watches this, that is one girl that I really admire. I love the strength and the beauty and the humility of that girl. And so your 3 kids are just, here she is. What is she studying right now? She went to Harvard, but now she's
getting her PhD in neuroscience.
I mean, your kids, every one of them. Yeah. And she was also Miss Colorado.
Yeah, right? She came in top 10 in Miss America.
I
know, right? It's like you're making it up.
Yeah, really. So because of this, you are the one we want to know. We want to hear from. What are 3 things that you did while you were raising your kids that were intentional to help them become who they are today?
Okay. So one thing I want to say, people, you know, the kid's story, especially when you tell it all in like a bunch, it sounds really incredible. Like it sounds like it's not true. And it's these years, it's the years when they're all in college. It's just whenever they're all doing whatever they all do. And so I just want moms to know, because people ask me this all the time, right? It's like, oh, you're these great parents and look at your children, and all that is true. I mean, the children are amazing, blah, blah, blah. But I brought this picture. Let's see if I can get it so it's clear. Clear?
I love it.
Can you see that? Okay. Yeah. Brandon has on no bottoms. He has no diaper on. Corbin doesn't have on a shirt. Ellie's like a baby. She's kind of half sliding off my lap. Corbin's got a puppet and a snake, and Brandon's just hanging. Look, okay, do I look like I am very intentionally growing a neuroscientist, a rocket scientist, a beauty queen, a world-class musician,
Wow.
Harvard, Princeton, USC, really? So my point is for people, it's one day at a time. It's just one day and then another day and another day of doing what you do. So one of the things I think really made a difference is we parent very intentionally, which is hard to do when you have like a mush of children, 3 under 4 or 10 like you. I can't even imagine. Where you just really look at each child and see what each child wants, needs, does, thinks, cares about, likes, and that's a lot of work. And I used to say I didn't get 3 soccer players. Like maybe if I got 3 soccer players or 3 of any one thing, maybe that would have been easier. But I had 3 completely different children, and we just really focused on whatever their thing was. You didn't have to go to an Ivy League school. You don't have to be the best musician in the world. You don't have to do what they're doing. So people are like, well, did you make them? Did you force Corbin to play music? I mean, no. But we did say, whatever you do it well. Whatever you want to do. If you wanted to have a shop and be a hairstylist, or if you wanted to build cars, like whatever you want to do, let's look at it. Let's work on those skills. Let's focus on the things that you love. And I did, parent to, like, if you, like, here's a tutor for this thing or a teacher for that thing, or let's go, whenever we go out of the country. Corbin used to want to be a zookeeper. So we went to zoos like all over the world. And then he changed, but we went to a lot of zoos. So it's just, whatever their focus was, we really took a family interest in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And when I've asked your boys that question, they told me that. They said, whatever we were interested in, our mom would make sure to get us what we needed and put us in the atmosphere to do well at that. And I find it interesting that you did that with the zoo, because I've never heard that. But I think it correlates with who they are, because you gave them confidence that you believed in whatever they were wanting and whatever they were dreaming about. You believed in their dreams. And I think that even if it wasn't that he became a zoologist, but you were believing in his dreams and going to those zoos, and it gave him the confidence to go, I can become something great. I think that really means something. It wasn't what he became, but it was part of his story that mattered.
Right. Brandon, when he was little, he wanted to be a herpetologist. I had to look that up.
Yeah.
So our house looked like it was a petting zoo. We had bearded dragons and geckos and ball pythons and what other kind of snake, some albino thing, a blue-tongued skink that we actually took back because it bit Brandon. I watched it bite him right here in his arm. And I was like, he's out of here. So we had that in our house because it was the thing. So he was supposed to be a herpetologist. He didn't do that either.
Did you like all those, what are they, amphibians?
Reptiles? No, I didn't. Mm-mm.
Did you ever touch them or take care of them?
I think the ones that were, I touched them. You got used to them. We had this one little gecko. They trained him to ride on a little wind-up car.
Oh my gosh.
And so he would fly around. And here was the crazy thing, if that wasn't crazy enough. Ellery had a pet rat. And so the snakes would eat rats. We had like a punch card. We had a punch card for rats and for crickets. So I could sit in the car and the kids could go in. Wow. So we'd all be dressed up after, it'd be church. It was church and we'd all be dressed up. And then after church, we'd go to the reptile store. It's called Scales and Tails. And so everybody in the reptile store, before it was fashionable, they were tattooed and pierced. I mean, now it's fashionable, but it wasn't like that. And so we would just be in suits and everybody would be like, hi, Joneses. So
I love that so much.
Yeah.
You really are an amazing mom.
I'm an amazing
fact that you had half a zoo in your house.
I had a half a zoo. So on one part of the kids had their upstairs room. So the boys were down here, Ellery's down here, and the loft in the middle. And so down here, we bought mice and rats to feed to snakes, and here we bought yogurt treats to feed the rat. So, and if a snake would be missing, you'd be like, oh my gosh, where's Dixie?
And Dixie was the rat?
Dixie was the rat, yeah.
Oh my goodness. See, you've just gone up in my admiration even more knowing this now. Wow.
So, no herpetologist, no zoologist.
But you believed in their dreams.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. They kept the music, and Brandon kept doing math. Brandon could do math in his head when he was a baby. I had to buy, he could not write. He had the worst penmanship, which was fine because he was a baby. But it was just like you took a pencil and so even his mother couldn't tell if the number was like 5. What's 1 + 4? You'd be like, I don't know what this says. So we went and found teddy bear math. I saved it. So if the answer was 5, you color orange, and he knew his colors.
Wow. How old was that?
A lot of work. At least he's still doing math to build those rockets. So that was a good one.
You're amazing, April. Okay, number 2. So the first one is that you found out what they were interested in and you made it happen. What's number 2?
Do you know how the boys, they really like each other? Corbin and Brandon?
Yes.
We did that intentionally. We intentionally told our children that they needed to love each other. So the boys and all 3 of them, because they were a bunch. And when you get a lot of children in the same age, they cannot like each other. They could grow up and not be friends. So we really insisted on that. You know, no, that's your brother. That's your sister. Stop. That's your brother. Get off of him. That's your brother. And Ellery used to hit Brandon. I'm like, don't hit your brother. Don't let your sister hit you. Be good. Be kind. Stop. I mean, add that to a bunch of animals. Man.
You were the zoologist.
I guess I was a zoo. I was a stop, quit, don't, be kind, be good zoologist.
Wow. Okay, but were there moments while they were growing up that they became competitive, maybe not hateful and hitting each other, but where they were competitive with each other? Because all of them are such high performing people in their own right. I can't imagine all of that leadership under one roof and not having moments where you had to help them navigate competing.
Yeah, or not liking each other. Like we joked that Corbin used to be, Ellery's a bad baby. I'm like, no, she's not. You love her. No, I don't. And Ellery didn't like Corbin, and I'm like, I don't like Corbin. I'm like, yes, you do. You love your brother. No, I don't. So they would break up where Brandon could go either way. So if Ellery was being mean, if it's her years to be mean to him, he would just be friends with Corbin. And when Corbin turned into a teenager, he would just be friends with Ellery. And then when Brandon started to be like a teenage jerk, they tried to come to me and complain about Brandon. I'm like, after all you have put him through all these years, you need to leave Brandon alone. So it was just a lot of negotiating. And I'm saying it quickly, but it doesn't happen quick. It's not like it was one day where you say, don't do that, children. And they say, okay. It was just over and over. And in terms of being competitive, Brandon would be the only one who would say, can I have that? They have this. And so from the early on, I had to just shut that down. But he's a middle kid.
Right. My middle kid is the same thing. Make sure everything's even.
Right. And I'm like, we don't do even here. Yeah. We do what you like, and what you like. I can't keep up with even.
That's a really good thing to talk about because I think that's taught in schools now is all the fairness. Everything's about fairness. And that's really hard to lead a family and everything's always even. So I think that's good for women to hear that you didn't do even. And I think it's good, I'm sure there's moments when somebody's getting something more because it's the season they're going to need it, or it's the season that you're investing into them, and you don't have to apologize because in the end, it all does even out and somehow works out. But there's going to be moments where you have to give attention to one more than the others, right?
Brandon was 100 pounds more than Ellery. I think he's still 100 pounds more than Ellery, but it's okay now. But they're 2 years apart, and he was a chubby, like 4th and 5th grader. I put them all in track to kind of camouflage so that we were putting Brandon in track.
Yeah. I love it.
Because he was out winning shot put. I was like, what? He was a shot put state champ. I was like, are you kidding me?
Of course he is. Of course he was. Oh my goodness.
So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Yeah, it's worth it. And so that was it. Yeah, just really and we got a tip from one of the elders at our church. She has 4 children. They're all grown, but she had one car for her children. And she said that really helped them to be friends, and they learned to share and negotiate and figure things out. So that's what we did. Because of Colonel Nelson and Judy, you probably know from Word of Life, we have one car for the kids.
Wow.
Subaru.
Wow.
1998 Subaru that they had to share.
That's amazing. That's good to hear, because you could have gotten them each a car and whatever, but you heard that and you did it. I love that. And that's why it's important for us to hear your wisdom. Now you're the one giving it to us, and I'm telling you, I'm taking notes.
Right. I think that was one of the best things. It's even when they come home now, of course they're not coming home now because it's a pandemic and they're quite grown, but just over the years, they just hop in the car. Corbin typically drives, and they just go do their thing without the tension of it. Wow. So that turned out to be a good one.
I love it. Okay, number 3.
Well, keeping them in church it's a big deal, because you're going through a lot. They're doing a million things. You're trying to like stay married and happy and love your husband, who is probably your opposite if you do what most people do. So throw that in the mix, right?
Right.
And there was a time, it's so funny how not funny, but my men are these grown men of God, and that's I love it, love it, love it. But we joked because we sat in the front row in our church because we were leaders. So we did that for like the whole time they were growing up. And Brandon, as he lost weight, would just stare at himself. He'd be in the front row, just looking at his hands, all in the middle of scripture. And I'd just be like, Brandon, stop. I'm like, is he even listening? Is he even here? You're just like, oh my, you're just praying like, oh Lord Jesus.
Something get in.
Please, we'll just come and we'll just sit him here, and then he'll just go back to it, or just pick at something, just in the front row. So that's just an example of you don't know. And then you don't know, you just keep going, and you keep coming back, and you keep praying, and you just stay faithful rather than get derailed or let your doubts derail you.
Right. Yeah, because in parenting, there's moments where you question, are they getting it?
Right.
At least I do. If I'm honest, there's moments I'm like, am I doing a good job at this? Are they going to become a human being who loves Jesus, who's respectful, who becomes something great? There's all those things.
Right.
Yeah. And because Brandon, the one picking at his arm, and you didn't know if he was paying attention, is one of the most, like, the things that he says that he gets from God's word, the way he sees church life, all of that stuff. That when he starts leading worship, he's just a massive, muscly guy. And Israel was joking a couple of weeks ago. He's like, does Brandon use the microphone, or did he swallow it and now it's sitting in his biceps? Like, what's happening? He's such a big guy, but he's just got the sweetest spirit and leading in God's house. And it's not because you're here asking him to. He's doing it. And he comes early in the morning at 7 a.m. and stays 2 services and is faithful because you kept him in church. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of parents who say, my kids, I don't even ask them if they want to come to church. They sleep in, and I just come to church without them. And right. I just feel like, at least for the Campbell family, church is a non-negotiable. That's who we are. It's not our job. It's not because we're pastors. We're Christians. And right. Christians make church a big part of their life.
Right. Now, Corbin did start to fall in love with music and church in probably high school, like 9th grade, 10th grade. So then he's at church all the time, and he can't drive. So then now you have to be the good parent who's driving someone to all the church music activities.
Right.
A non-singing musical parent who has a whole list of other things to do is now parked at church waiting for the choir director to let the children and the adults out. So
that's a big commitment.
Yeah.
And then you also had, was that at the same time Brandon would have been doing football and
and Corbin didn't drive until late.
Wow.
He didn't start driving until like almost 12th grade.
And this was pre-Uber Kids.
Pre-Uber Kids.
Look at you.
Church parking lot. Right?
Women, look at this woman. Look what she has done. Pre-Uber Kids. This should inspire all of us. No more excuses. Oh my goodness. All of that is so good, April. Thank you so much for all of that wisdom. Is there anything else that you would like to share with all of the mamas?
I think one thing that I did mention, and this was a big deal for us, if you have a middle child, we intentionally, when we had Corbin and then we were having Ellery, and I was like, oh no, Brand's gonna be a middle child and all these middle child issues. And so we really researched it and we went with the philosophy of err on the side of doing too much for your middle child. So Brandon, that's what we did with him. So it's just pretty simple. Like if you could say yes, you know, as a parent, sometimes you could say yes or no, then you say yes. And that's how I think that's a real big part of how he's such a strong, solid, focused person. Even though he did have that tendency to have that middle kid tendency to compare. We kind of just love that out of him by just doing a little too much for him, and the others didn't notice.
I really like that because it's a natural bent when they're in the middle to feel like a little overlooked in some ways. And I love that wisdom of being intentional to even invest more.
Yes.
I love that. And the two others in your family, there's nothing missing. There's no question of where they fit and all of that. So that's amazing.
Isn't that interesting? You would think that they would have noticed or cared, but didn't notice, didn't care. And Brandon we do say he's a spoiled baby, which is kind of a compliment for a middle kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so good. And how much we're going to end with this because we're out of time, but how much would you say the Holy Spirit gave you divine wisdom? Like, do you think that you were just, did this all come naturally, or were there moments that you can mark in your life where you're like, the Holy Spirit led us so that we could understand what to do?
I would say all the time. I mean, you have to keep praying. We had to go to church every week and pray every week and seek God anew every week and get encouraged every week. And we would go to church for the morning service and then for the evening service. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So I feel like it was just a constant general leading. And obviously when things blew up or when things went sideways or when we're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what is going on here with X kid, you pray more.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because there are 3 adults right now that are changing their worlds, and we are a better church because of the way you raised your kids.
Hey,
2 of the leaders in our church are your sons, and they make our church family such a better place to be. So thank you so much, April.
Thank you.
Love you.
And them into your home. Because Corbin was in college still, and you guys just took him in and loved them, and took Sunny in and loved her, and then Brandon came, you loved him. Joy's coming, you love her. So thank you from our family to your family for making our family your family.
Yep, for sure. We love you guys so much. We're honored to be a part of the journey with the Joneses and to learn from you guys. So thank you so much, April. I love you. And I think we need about 5 more of these. So we'll have to schedule it because I know the ladies are going to want to hear a lot more from you.
Okay, whatever you need. We love you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day in Denver.
Bye, you too.
Bye.